Devlin, Untamed. The platform.
Welcome to another podcast, people. iOS, it's only sport. Martin, Devlin, Lachlan, War. We do a live show 1 till 4 every afternoon on the platform. The only daily independent sports radio show in New Zealand. What is the platform? Well, best you download the app. Find out for yourself. Yeah, look, it's 9 hours of free programming, free independent media every single day of the week. Starts at 7 in the morning and runs through till 4 in the afternoon. We don't receive any government funding at all, so if you'd like to help us out at all, well, sponsorships, advertising packages available, plus, of course, you can subscribe to Platform Plus. Today on the show, Gary Stead, Black Caps coach. We're playing Australia in 3 T20s. It's now called the Chapel Hadley because that encompasses now the one-dayers and the T20s. That kicks off on Wednesday, but all eyes, I think, for most cricket fans on Thursday week when we play the first test against the Oz, coming off this historic series win against a very depleted, let's always remember that, South African side. The Knicks, the Phoenix, well, cock-a-doodle-doo. You don't get to the top of the table by chance, and you don't stay there if you don't deserve to still be there. The Knicks are 5 points clear in the A-League. Simon Hill, Aussie, soccer caller, commentator, all over that. EPL with Tom Rennie. The Big Moan Monday. Golf, well, what are you doing? What kind of rule is it that you disqualify a player simply because he fills his scorecard in wrong? In this day and age, what an amateur move in a professional sport, especially with Live Golf breathing down your neck. LBP, let's be positive, Matt Gunn and the Breakers. Yeah, finishing 6th. Well, most of us probably would have taken that 6-7 weeks ago, but the chance was there yesterday, late yesterday, to finish 4th. Didn't do it. Plus, the Wales are back in business. NRL League pre-season. No, it's not the season, but still, it's back. And how goddamn good. We begin the show every way, the same way. Tablets in hand, I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. What do we learn from the weekend sport? Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
What do we learn from the weekend is sport? Golf, that's professional golf. That's the PGA Tour, is still stuck in a time warp, disqualifying Jordan Spieth for signing an incorrect scorecard. Is just in this day and age ridiculous. He signed the wrong score. It's not cheating. He fog-brained it to DQ him out of the tournament. It's so heavy-handed. Such an unnecessary thing to do. High time they rewrote and DQ'd that rule. The Breakers punched their ticket to the finals. Took care of business versus Brisbane Friday night. A comfy home win, enough to make the top 6. However, yesterday away, Adelaide, they could have made the top 4 and blew it. The last 8 games, won 5, lost 3. The last 3 games, lost 2 of those. 6th on the table and an away trip now to the Sydney Kings. It's a rematch of last year's final. 4th would have been 2 bites at the cherry, but kind of season ended as it has been right throughout the campaign. Just not quite good enough for most of it. The NRL has started, just a fortnight away now, so it hasn't really started, but pre-season has, which is just a tester. It's just a little morsel before the real deal begins, and how good just to see league back. Big blokes buffing and barging into each other. Rugby league, mate! How good. Yes, the Warriors played, but it's pre-season. That's about all that needs to be said. Well done, Christchurch. Absolutely brilliant day for it. Big crowd in. Roger played. But it's pre-season, you can't read anything else into it. The Phoenix roll on. We say this every week. They won again. And a great win it was to away to MacArthur 2-1. Played 18 games now, won 10, drawn 6, lost 2. Top of the table is earned, it's not given. You don't get a turn at it. You win most of your games, you accumulate the most points. The best team at the end of the round robin sits atop the table for a reason, because they've been the best over the course of the season. The Knicks just keep on keeping on, and it's absolutely brilliant. As a New Zealand sports fan, how can you not like this night? How can you not be happy for them? That was a great result last night, and they deserve to be where they are. The EPL is still very much one of the most bitterly competitive leagues in the world. Every year around this time, always separates into 3 or 4 different kind of mini leagues. 3 teams going for the title, 3 or more battling each other for the Champions League places, 5 or 6 scrapping for their lives to avoid relegation. 3 months of the campaign to go. And all of that up for grabs every week means there's going to be chops and changes when it comes to each of those, as I said, mini leagues. Another heap of storylines to chew over, which makes it such a brilliant all-round competition to follow. And Kane Williamson is the best batsman in the world right now. There is no one playing cricket better than him. Not carrying a bat anyway. 7 centuries in the last 7 tests. And better than that, in 2 of those, he carried his bat throughout the second innings to win those test matches for New Zealand. And that was against Sri Lanka in Christchurch and against South Africa in Hamilton. 32 test tons at a rate faster than anyone else who's achieved as much as he's achieved. The man is a true great. He is a bona fide run machine.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
First up, Lachlan, headlines.
Yeah, well, there's a fair bit flying around, floating around.
Yep.
Nothing really. Oh no! Actually, I'll start off with probably the best news story of the day. Kiwi swimmer Lewis Claiborne
Yes, it's great news.
has added more gold to New Zealand's haul at the World Championships in Doha, bolting to victory in the men's 400-metre individual medley earlier today. So that makes it 2 golds and a silver for New Zealand at these World Swimming Champs. And we had no golds prior to this event, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. So it's the first time ever that a man and a woman in New Zealand have won world championship titles in the pool.
Superb.
Forget about who's there, who's not there. Don't matter. I think Claiborne's comment was brilliant, wasn't it? Like he said, history doesn't remember who's not there. History remembers who wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
New Zealand will be without Peter Burling when they take to the water to contest the Australian leg of the Sail GP Series this coming week. And Burling will be home in New Zealand with his wife as she prepares to give birth to their first child. In terms of replacements, veteran Nathan Outridge will step in as his replacement in Australia. That's lovely news for the Burlings. The Breakers, they're into the NBL finals. They had a chance to finish 4th on the table. Couldn't manage that. They took on the Adelaide 36ers last night to finish off their regular season, losing 76-70. Their next game for the Breakers Wednesday. They take on, not this Wednesday, the following Wednesday. They take on the Sydney Kings in a repeat of the final series last year. The winner of that, I think it's like an elimination kind of matchup. The winner of that then moves on. The loser's gone for good. It's a one-off match. For the Phoenix, they remain top of the A-League table, a 2-1 win away to MacArthur. Very dodgy penalty call that put them ahead earlier.
It's a shocker, mate. Absolute shocker.
Probably shouldn't have been a penalty.
It was a marshmallow penalty, wasn't it?
You'll take it. 2-1 they win. The match for the second straight week, the start was delayed. So last week it was due to a kit issue when they took on Western United and Wellington. And this week it was a proper issue. You know, it was thunder and rain and thunderstorms and whatnot. So the match was delayed. Lightning, okay.
I mean, you showed me a Twitter clip last week of a guy getting hit by lightning playing in the Philippines. Indonesia. There you go.
Yeah. So 61 minutes the start of that match was delayed. But let's go to the table. The Phoenix, 36 points, 5 points ahead of the Central Coast Mariners, who are second on 31. And then MacArthur on 28, Melbourne Victory on 28. Melbourne Victory have played 17 games. They've only lost 1, but they've only won 6. They've drawn 10. How does that happen? Premier League this morning, Manchester United beating Luton. That's a big win.
Big win.
Luton, they are a nasty, nasty team.
Okay, well, let's just go through it. Arsenal won in the 98th minute. Man City came back and won late. Your mob drew.
What are you talking about? What are you talking
away
about?
at Luton.
Actually, I would agree with that, to be fair.
And United get...
And the day we drew with Luton, we should have lost.
I'd take the 3 points.
Yeah, but, it's Man United. Anyway, you guys, 2-1 winners this morning. Brighton hammering Sheffield 5-0. Other matches over the weekend, Man City dropping points at home to Chelsea. Chelsea looked good, from what I saw at least. Tottenham losing to Wolves. Liverpool beating Brentford. Arsenal pummeling Burnley. Well, how does the table look like? Liverpool on top, 57 points. Arsenal are in second on 55. Man City third on 53. Though if City, keep saying this, win that game in hand, they go up to second with 56 points. But the important thing is because they drop points, even if they win their game in hand, Liverpool are still top. Tottenham are 5th, Aston Villa are 4th, Man United 6th. You guys are only 3 points off 5th. You're not far. You're 5 points off 4th. Anyway. All right, India, England in the cricket. I had the scorecard up. Where's it gone? England, India. Excuse me. Bear with me here. India winning but in terms of how much, 434 runs in the third of 5 tests. They declared at 434. In their second innings, England needed 557. What do they get? 122. Yeah, pretty ordinary. So India winning that test, and they lead the series 2-1. And NRL pre-season. Just want to run through some results from over the weekend. The Warriors opening their pre-season account, if you will, yesterday against the West Tigers. No one typically would care, but a sellout crowd in Christchurch for that. Incredible. So the Tigers are winning that game, though. The Rabbitohs beat the Dragons. Broncos beat the Cowboys. Dolphins beat the Titans. Raiders beating the Eels. Roosters beating the Sea Eagles. Knights beating the Sharks. And the result of the weekend, which is getting one Matt Gunn excited for his slot later on in this show, the Doggies beating the Storm.
Yes.
What happened 20 years ago this year?
Doggies won.
They won the premiership, and the last time they made the grand final, 10 years ago this year.
Read into what you will. I mean, there was one year that I think the Warriors put 40-something points on the Broncos in pre-season. What happened that season?
Well, the Broncos made the 8 and the Warriors didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. And just finally, for any German football fans, Bayern Munich have lost another game, back-to-back losses. They are now 8 points off Bayer Leverkusen, who are first, who haven't lost a game all season. Bayern Munich have won every single Bundesliga since the 12-13 season. So it's been over 10 years since another team's actually won it. Maybe this year will be different. That's what's making news, Martin.
Devlin,
That is a disgusting act.
the platform.
Black Caps coming off I was going to say comprehensive, comfortable, a pretty easy series win over South Africa's G team. 2 tests, 2 wins, thrashed them in the first, and in the end, 7-wicket win on day 4 with Kane Williamson carrying his bat throughout the series. Yeah, it was as easy as it gets in Test cricket, but the next opponent just happened to be the World Test Champions. That's Australia. Gary Stead, Black Caps coach, joined us today. We're talking about the T20 series kicking off on Wednesday. But what's more important to him, winning that or winning one of these 2 tests against the Oz starting Thursday week? You're about to find out. Gary Stead. How do you assess that 2-match test series win versus South Africa?
Very, very happy with it overall. I think most pundits out there would have expected us to win, and it was sort of puts you in a little bit of a no-win situation, really, that you go out there and we played some reasonable cricket. I thought the first test in particular, we were very convincing. Second test, I expected them to bounce back a bit more, and they did, and I guess adjusted their style of play, and we were put under some more pressure there, which is also good when we lead into the Australian series. But to ultimately get the points was very pleasing.
And also, history made, first time in 92 years in the 18th series that we get a win against them.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess people will look back in the future and say, oh, they weren't at full strength, but we can only play what's in front of us, and ultimately we got the maximum points that we could, and I think that augurs well for us when you consider the World Test Championship.
Look, they were under strength. They left 56 players behind. We know that. You're exactly right. You can only beat who you beat. But is that disappointing for you, though? I mean, 92 years of history, you got the tradition with it. Obviously, you would have preferred to play the full-strength side.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I mean, that's where the world of cricket is at the moment, and I think Test cricket has been placed under pressure with some of these franchise leagues that are I guess popping up all around the world and may continue to do so. So I think it's moved fast the last 18 months or so, and it will be interesting to see where we are in 18 months' time as well around the whole world of cricket.
At the same time, though, and we saw this a few weeks ago with the Windies winning in Australia in that same day. I mean, the double header of England winning, and then I don't know how much of the England-India series you've been watching, but of course, so much interest in us playing Australia coming up in Test cricket. It's just that balancing act, isn't it? Do you feel that they've got it right, or do you think that South Africa setting this under-strength team is a sign that they haven't got it right?
No, I think it's just a clash of competitions at the time, and we may face that more in the future. And there's always potentially going to be a first time that happened, and this may be it. So I absolutely guarantee you it won't be the last time it happens, though, in the future. So unless we can find windows for I guess, Test cricket and franchise cricket that don't clash, but it's pretty hard with, I think, the amount of cricket there is around the world these days. And, but also encouraging, as you say, that we've seen some results like West Indies tipping up Australia, and think Pakistan taking them close as well, because I think that gives all teams encouragement, and especially us who are playing them next.
Is that the last thing we need, a wounded Australian side, though?
Maybe, but look, when you start the game, it doesn't really matter whether you're wounded, whether you're underdogs. It's just going out there and playing your best cricket, and I think if we do that, we'll certainly be competitive. Gary
Stead, Black Caps coach, with us. So I read a really interesting statistical article by Ian Anderson last week. I don't know whether it been brought to your attention as well, but in the last few series, Bangladesh away, Bangladesh at home, England here, Sri Lanka, 2 tests. We play really well in one, and then kind of struggled to recreate that form in the second one, albeit the first one or the second one, if you know what I mean. And we did that against South Africa as well. Played brilliant in the first one and then struggled. Why is that?
We still won the second test, though,
good point.
Marty, by 7 wickets.
Yeah, good point.
We got over the line. Look, I don't think there's any real patterns. I think there's a lot of test nations have got better as well. I think it's a more complete program than where teams are closer to each other, and when you go to, I guess, away conditions, I think it's always hard to win, and we're seeing the odd upset now, which I think is great for the game. I mean, England winning the first test in India was fantastic. West Indies getting over Australia in Australia, I think, is one of the hardest things to do. So I think that augurs well and says that maybe our countries are all evening up a little bit, and the chance of beating opposition, if you're slightly off, does happen.
Can we beat Australia?
Yes, we can, yeah. I mean, they're formidable. They're World Test champions, as we know, but we were 2 years before that as well, and I know there's a lot of fire in the team, and certainly looking forward to the challenge ahead.
What's a win for you? Would a series split be a win?
We want to win every test match if we can, but look, I mean, we're still relatively early into this cycle of the World Test Championship, and I think any team, if they were to win 2 here, would see it as an absolute victory and go a long way in terms of putting your name forward for potential finalists for the next way. So every test match we go into, though, we start afresh. We're trying to, I guess, just play our best cricket, and regardless of who the opposition is, if you can do that for long periods of time, you do give yourself a good chance.
If you had to make a choice, Gary Stead with us on the platform, Black Caps coach, between winning the T20 series or winning a test against Australia, what would it be?
Well, I think in terms of priorities right now, I'd take a test match win. I think the T20 series would be great again, and last time Australia here, we did manage to get over the top of them 3-2. But there's a World Cup just around the corner, and we know we're potentially a few players down who aren't in our T20 side. But that's great opportunity for others to come in and push their case and say, hey, I'm here and don't forget about me.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Moan. I'm moaning sick all the time. Oh, it's Monday. I got a moan on, all right. The dumbest, most out-of-touch, wake-up you morons rule in world sport happened on the weekend. Golf. PGA Tour Golf. The Genesis Invitational. Jordan Spieth DQ'd out of the tournament after the second round because he signed an incorrect scorecard. An admin error. He signed for a 3 at the par 3 fourth and a second round 72, when in fact he made 4 on that hole and a second round 73. So what? So what? He signed it wrong. And look, I know golf, your precious, traditional, never change rules, but so what? This is a professional sport. It's not amateur days. What say it was a genuine fog brain mistake? Which it was. Of course it was. Why would he cheat and try to get away with something that everyone, and that's every single person who's watching or interested or following or score checking, knew anyway? So clearly it couldn't be anything other than a mistake. So correct the mistake and move on. How in this day and age where everything's recorded anyway, it's computerized, it's continually refreshed and updated online, it's filmed live for TV. So damn what if he signed it wrong? To toss this guy out of the tournament is just stupid, is what it is. It's such an overreaction. It also cheats the fans from seeing one of the guys that they've paid to see. You've got Live Golf all over you, like Nicholas on the back nine at the 86 Masters. You want your best golfers playing. You need your best players playing. You want spectators to be seeing, watching, paying to see and watch these players. Yes, I get that these are the rules. But these are rules that are so unnecessary now, so outdated, so idiotic, so prehistoric that they need to be given what he got. Just change them. Change the rules. It really is that easy. It's not Spieth who should be DQ'd. It's the dumbass, out-of-date, idiotic rule.
Devlin,
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
the platform.
The Phoenix, top of the table. And we're saying this week after week after week. You don't get to be top of the table in any professional football league unless you are the best team over that many games that have been played to put you there. And the Phoenix have not lost in 2024. They've played 8, they've won 4, they've drawn 4, including a couple of brilliant wins in the last few weeks away from home. That's away to the Jets, and then this one away to MacArthur last night. Lightning delayed play for 61 minutes. Got a really soft penalty the next. Hey, Costa got 2. You take it, don't you? Simon Hill, A-League commentator out of Australia. Well, was that a penalty or not?
Not for me.
No.
And to be honest, I think MacArthur probably a bit stiff that they didn't get one of their own prior to that. So I've listened to Miller Stojowski's post-game press conference, and probably wisely he said, look, I've been advised by my club not to say anything publicly, but we'll be taking it up with the authorities. So they're clearly not happy, the Bulls, but, that's the way the game goes. Again, this harks back to a point that I've been saying probably since Jesus was a lad, that, you can have all the technology in the world, VAR, goal line technology, whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's still humans who are interpreting what they're watching. And to me, that was a nonsense. But anyway, that's football.
Exactly it. And look, and you take some because the next game there's going to be a decision the other way. And as you say, MacArthur had one which looked pretty similar, and I thought that was really soft, and I was glad it wasn't given. And I just thought that there was no way that whoever I can't remember his name was ever going to score from that position. And I kind of think that's got to be taken into account. He couldn't even cross the ball. He'd lost control of it. But anyway, Costa Barbarouses rolls it the right way, scores a second goal, and the Knicks hang on. And so, you're looking at that points table, played 18, there's 8 games to go, 1-10, drawn 6, lost 2, and a 5-point lead. It's theirs to lose now, right?
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they've been the story of the season, and full credit to Giancarlo Italiano and all these players and stuff. On paper, you look at them, not just 1 to 11, but even the depth or lack of, really, to the squad, and they shouldn't be anywhere near the top of the table, in my opinion. But they are, because they are, more than the sum of their parts, and they've got a great team ethos. They work for each other. Yesterday they had 4 key outs, and then they lose Alex Rufer 5 minutes before kickoff, and they just go, okay, let's get on with it. And they dig in on a difficult pitch against tough opposition. And, maybe they got a little bit of luck yesterday, but I think over the course of the journey, maybe they've earned that.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens, isn't it?
So good on them.
You could say that Liverpool got a little bit of luck yesterday because Man City drawing against Chelsea, against a Chelsea side that came up to your place and actually played like a Chelsea side that has spent €1 billion where you'd expect them to. So, but look, when you're sitting there after 18 games, Simon, and my point is that it's no fluke that you're top after 18 games. After 3 or 4 games, you can say, oh, okay, whatever. But after 18 games, when you've only lost 2, that says that you deserve to be there.
Absolutely. It is no fluke. Thanks for bringing up Man City, by the way. But
had to,
look, you look at the key players that contribute, and every player is playing their part, obviously. But Costa Barbarouses has really stepped up to the plate this season. 10 goals. Particularly of late in the absence of Oscar Zavada, who is almost back to full fitness. So he'll be a key addition. No Bozidar Kraev yesterday, no Alex Rufer, no Tim Payne. They are experienced pros and leaders for that Wellington Phoenix team. And yet some of the kids that came in, Isaac Hughes, Finn Conchi, Kelly Heald's had a very good season out on the left-hand side of defence. It's an amazing story. And, personally, I hope they go on and win the Premiership, because I think they deserve to do it. And it will be great for New Zealand football, particularly with, the Auckland franchise about to join the competition next year, to give that rivalry a real rev up right from the start. And of course, they are the only club currently in the competition that is yet to win a trophy. So it's probably time they did. And, they'll never have a better chance than this season, that's for sure.
Simon Hill is with us, of course, the A-League. Of course, you recognise that voice if you are a fan of. The last 8 games, 4 wins, 4 draws, haven't lost in 2024. And I think that's what he's done, hasn't he? Chiefy, if I can call him that, Giancarlo, that he's just stiffened this side up. And I remember talking to him earlier in the season, and it was just, it was almost about a not wanting to lose philosophy. Well, that's obviously standing the team in really good stead, because one of the things that was impressive yesterday was the way they defended, I thought. And I was counting 9-10 players behind the ball at times. You've got to do that when you're away from home and down on strength, as they were. Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to dig in, and sometimes it's not been pretty. I remember the game early on in the season against Melbourne Victory where they didn't have a single shot the entire 90 minutes and came away with a 1-1 draw somehow. And they might have even won it. I think there was a penalty decision that was overturned because of an offside. Sometimes you can call it luck. But also you earn that luck by being resilient, and they're very solid defensively. Alex Paulson is having an outstanding season between the posts, so much so that one of the very few pre-season signings that was brought in, Jack Duncan, has hardly played a game. They've not gone big in the transfer market. They've relied on a mix of good experienced pros like Kriev, like Zavada, like David Ball, like Barbarouses, like Scott Wootton, with the best of the academy that is coming through. And clearly there's a lot of talent coming through that system. So, it's a good model. And, for all of us, and I include myself in this, who thought once Ufuk Talay left the club, you thought, that could be a big problem because he did such a good job there. But goodness me, Chiefy has done an amazing job so far. And he's a super guy as well, very, very personable. And I hope for his sake, as much as anybody else, that they go on and lift the Premier's plate.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Up the wires. It's begun already, people. We're only 2 weeks away from the beginning of the season. Christchurch packing it out yesterday. Brilliant day for league. Hey, you can't read too much into it. Well, you can't read anything into it, really, if you're a Warriors fan, apart from the fact that there is squad depth there. A lot of young boys, young men stood up, and Roger back with a Warriors shirt on. Big smiles from Christchurch, including from the former Warriors coach and Kiwi coach Frank Endacott. Frank, what an occasion in Christchurch. I got to say congratulations to the local population for packing out that stadium and making it a sellout. I know it's only pre-season, but it just says at the moment, it must be heartwarming for a bloke like you just to see how popular this team, this sport is right now.
Oh, fantastic, Martin. I heard, 2.5 weeks ago that all the stand tickets were sold, the covered stand, and I knew then that they'd get a sellout, and a wonderful day to go with it, and a great occasion for everyone that went.
And, of course, with all the chitter-chatter around about possibly getting another New Zealand team based in the South Island, I mean, this can only help, surely.
Without a doubt. You've mostly heard there are plans afoot and people working behind the scenes to get that done. So that'll help their case for 100%.
What do we read into the game, if anything at all?
Well, the one thing I've got to stress is never take into account trial results. You look at the teams, there was a lot of first graders missing. But what it showed to me was the Warriors have got plenty of depth because those young fellas played their heart out yesterday, and I thought with any luck they could have won the game. Not that the result means that much in trials, but they played well enough to win, and it showed me they got something there for the future.
So that's the New South Wales Cup side, and of course, you've been in a position where you've been coaching this team in the past as well. So that's going to make Webby feel pretty good, you think?
100%. Every team allows 15% or thereabouts for injuries every week. So, when you get 2 or 3 injuries in your first grade squad, you know now that you've got players you can call up and they won't let you down. And I saw plenty of cases of that yesterday.
So, everyone wants to be able to put something on it, don't they, and say, okay, it means this, it means that. It's just, I just think that's probably a lot of us just feeling like we want the season to start.
Exactly, and people have been hanging out for months for the season to start, and all of a sudden we see the Charity Shield the other night between Souths and the Dragons, and that was full on. That was, full of first graders. Then I watched another game, was at the Roosters and Manly, and Manly had a young team out there, and they looked really good, really good. I think they're in for a big improved year, but they played against just about a full-strength Rooster squad. So it's interesting to see the strategy of the different coaches, some putting a first-grade team out there and some with only 2 or 3 players out there. So, it's they've all got their own strategies, and it'll come to fore in round 1.
Frank Endacott, former Warriors coach, Kiwi coach, with us as always on the platform. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, he played most of the game yesterday, and I think that, again, is just Webby saying, look, he needs the game time because he's been out of the game for a couple of years. He looked pretty good.
He looked better than good. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was the Warriors' best player, to be honest, and I always had a little query on his front-on defence. Well, I had no queries yesterday when I saw him tackling, and he's come back, and he's going to be a real asset, possibly at I would say left centre for the Warriors, because they won't move the fullback. Nicole Clockstad, Chance had a very good year last year, so I'm picking they'll keep him there. But if something happened to him during the game, they've got a good replacement in putting Roger Tuivasa-Sheck back at fullback also. So he's going to be a great asset to the team and only strengthen us even more.
I'm going to ask you throughout the season, Frank, of course, how's it going and what you think and where you think the team is going to finish. But right now, what would you take in terms of where the Warriors finish? Do you think a top 8 would be a really successful year?
Well, it's always a successful year if you finish top 8, but I'd be looking top 4 or 5 with this team this year. In fact, top 4 again, I'd be prepared to say, for the reason being that they've got the same team as last year, plus 2 really top additions, and Kurt Capewell, he's a great asset, and also Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. So I'm thinking they're going to be stronger. So you'd be, I know the coach will be looking at top 4 again, and rightly so.
The Tight 5.
5 separate sporting topics. When the bell goes, we move on quickly to the next one. Lewis Clareburt and Erica Fairweather, world champions in the pool in Doha. What does it mean for our Olympic prospects, Lachlan? Was in Christchurch. Great crowd. Lots of reserve players or young players or second strings or whatever getting a run. Roger looked pretty good. And Zion deserved to be sent off. What more can you take out of that game, Lachlan? They're selling 2-for-1 tickets to the Las Vegas League opener / extravaganza, depending on whose PR that you read and believe. What does that tell us about those 2 games in Las Vegas? Aussie equestrian Shane Rose has been stood down after on the weekend wearing a mankini. The Borat mankini to some equestrian horsey thingy, da-da-da. How ridiculous is that? He's been stood down. He may not go to the Olympics now because of that. Is that as idiotic as the Jordan Spieth rule? Breakers, your thoughts on that? Phoenix as well, and Super Rugby's just 4 days away, Lachlan. But let's kick it off with Lewis Clareburt and Erica Fairweather, and Erica Fairweather winning another medal in the pool. So, look, these 2 are world champions. I said at the start of the show, I really like Lewis's attitude to it. Hey, it doesn't matter who's there. Look, the reality is that the world's best swimmers in these events, Lewis Clareburt won in the 4x100 medley, Erica Fairweather winning a 400-metre gold in the freestyle. The best swimmers in the world aren't there. They're obviously tapering off or saving themselves or building up or have got other things to do than go to the World Champs in Olympic year. It does seem rather queer to me to have World Championships in the same year as Olympic year, given that the World Championships are effectively the Olympics, right? But at the same time, this is history for New Zealand in the pool. Are they going to win medals at the Olympics? I like their prospects after this because I tell you what it does. It convinces both of them that they are capable at the highest level of delivering.
Yeah.
And that's a massive confidence boost for both. They'll know what they have to do from here. Sure, you don't have to set a world record time at the Olympics to win a gold medal. You just got to beat everyone that's in the pool with you, right? And they prove that they can.
Yeah.
Beating everyone that's in the pool. Not who's not in the pool. Who is in the pool.
It's well, I mean, look, at the last Olympic Games, I can't really remember how Erica Fairweather went. I don't even know if she was at the last Olympics. I'm pretty sure she was. But Lewis Kleibert got into the final of a number of races, and there was one which was supposedly a specialist event, which he was sort of running third or fourth for most of the race and then tailed off towards the end. So I think for those two, as well as other young swimmers we've got coming up, it's a case of, growing more into their mature adult swim self, if that makes sense. So, yeah, sure, there are probably better chances for medals now. But I don't know. Look, I'm not the most clued in when it comes to swimming and who and what there's to, like, the ceiling, their potential is. But I think they'd be in the mix based on purely the fact that if you get medals at World Champs, sure, not all of the best are there.
No.
But a lot of good ones are.
That's it. And what it says to me is that you've actually got to do it on that day, at that time, in that race.
So,
that's what the Olympics is about. I've been to enough Olympic Games to, I've watched hot favourites completely belly it. I've watched a bit of cheating going on at the Olympics, to be perfectly fair, but not necessarily the number one seed wins those events.
And
you got to learn how to win, and I think this is the most valuable experience.
That's what I was going to say. That going to events like this, going to meets and competitions and competing in those in a World Cup year, in an Olympic year, is the best preparation, isn't it? Because you're simulating those races, whereas the ones who are supposedly the best in the world and they're in their rigorous training regimes back in their home countries where they're actually not competing, they're just training. I don't know. I'd rather be racing.
The NBA All-Star Weekend is on, and the East versus West game is about to start. Yeah, look, I watched a fair bit of this yesterday because I like the three-point contest. I liked watching Steph Curry, and he won against...
Oh, what's her name? Sabrina...
Yes.
Ionescu.
And that's right, yeah. And he was always going to, because there's nobody better at shooting a three-point basketball than him. As far as the dunk contest went, it's lost its luster to me. It's just so gimmicky these days. And then you get this game, East versus West, which... Look, even the commentators yesterday were struggling through the slam dunk contest. They were really struggling to hype it up and to keep interest alive.
Oh, the bloke who won it plays in the G League. Yeah. He's not even in the NBA. He's in the second division.
He's also a white guy.
It doesn't help. And white men don't have any personality.
Here am I. I remember the slam dunk contest, and you see those beautiful posters of Michael Jordan flying in from about half court, it seemed, And I just want to see the best players doing normal dunks, like you would see in a game.
Have a dunk contest with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Paul George, and don't have any drones or little flashing lights or blokes on spinning platforms. A guy with a ball, and give us your most exciting dunk.
Yeah.
And give us your stars. I don't want to watch Max McClung.
No, I don't want to watch Max McClung.
Who's a nobody.
He sounds like some guy who's programming radio somewhere, doesn't he? Hey, Max McClung, he's on 10 till 2, he's spinning the disc. Yeah. And as far as this East-West game goes, look, it's like, to me, the pro... what was it? The bloody NFL pro thing where they just had to stop it in the end because there's no defense and it's just a sham. And that's what this is. I can't remember the last time I watched one of these games. Look, the MLB game where they used to, have the American League against the National League, and the winner of that held home advantage throughout the playoffs. That meant something.
Yeah, for the World Series.
Yeah, and the players actually went and played. But it's a bit like watching yesterday the NRL preseason. How much of it did you watch? I watched most of the Warriors game. I tuned in for the Broncos.
I watched that.
Yeah, a little bit. I think I watched the Dolphins play, but it was just on in the background in the end. And I don't know how much you can read into any of this again either. We'll talk to Frank Endacott. I've got a few questions for you afterwards. But the thing that I got most about the NRL preseason games was that it's here, it's now, it's real, it's only 2 weeks away. The rest of it is instantly forgettable, isn't it? Apart from Zion. Did he deserve a red card? Zion Ma'u from the Warriors?
I thought so. There's a mitigating factor as why not, because the bloke who he's tackling is being tackled by someone else is kind of falling, isn't it? So I think that's enough of a reason not to give it. Then again,
Mate, they've got to get serious about their head injuries, the head knocks, the shoulders to the head. Look, I read a bit of Twitter argument about this, mate, and there was one guy saying, you aim for the collarbone. Well, if you're aiming for the collarbone, you're aiming too high.
Yeah.
Look,
you should be aiming
that's
for the
red
legs.
card in rugby
aiming
every
for the
day.
legs or the, abdominal area.
You can't sustain
But
this.
that's the thing, and rugby's a lot more strict than rugby league.
It shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be. And to me,
Until you get out of this mentality, you're going to have Jared Hargraves elbowing guys in the face all season.
No, come on, that was different. That was him singling out a bloke
But
and
you've just got
taking
to
him out.
stop the head high stuff before a lawsuit kills this game.
Well, it's going to.
It's going to. Otherwise, look, read the rugby thing before you start arguing about it. 2-for-1 tickets now in Las Vegas. Lachlan, what does that tell you?
They are not selling any tickets.
Selling many tickets, okay? That's and look, the NRL is going to take a whole lot of journos over there, and they're all on a lovely donut freebie trip, and they'll all write the articles that they're told to write. It's a bit like the New Zealand mainstream political media under the Labor government. You know, they're all getting paid, and so they all write what it is they're told to write, put it in a framework and everything else. I like the idea it's in Vegas, but just, as Public Enemy once sang, don't believe the hype. Shane Rose has been stood down by Equestrian Australia after wearing the mankini to an event, some kind of charity event over the weekend. He actually wore 3 costumes. One of them was a gorilla costume. One was a best. Here we are with an Olympic Games in Paris this year, Lachlan, and Russian athletes who were banned for 4 years by WADA are going to compete.
Yep.
Drug cheats, the whole lot of them, right? And yet this guy could potentially be banned for just being a dick and wearing a silly mankini. Is there something wrong with this story?
It's always the equestrians, isn't it? Aren't they a little bit odd?
Or you mean riding Ready Teddy behind the double browns?
With what they get up to, they're a little bit...
it does have that. The equestrian has that, kind of
they carry
swirly
don't
thing.
they whip their horses?
Well, whatever they in each other.
They're wearing top hats, but they're doing a sport like
thigh-high leather boots and rubbing each other with saddle soap. I don't know, but it creates that impression.
There's a lot of riding going on.
You just know.
Anyway, but
surely this guy. I mean,
he's out having a bit of fun doing. Is he on court? Is he working? Is he on?
He should be punished for the fact he's a 50-year-old man doing it. Okay?
That's a bit.
See, that to me.
I mean, like my dad's in his 50s. I don't want to see that.
I don't know.
But also, like, you're right. You've got. I mean, it's the same with we talk about Man City getting off with all their charges, and yet you pick on the little guy, Everton or Nottingham Forest. It's kind of a similar thing where it's like, okay, fine. Can you keep Russia banned then? Because you convicted them essentially, and then they appealed it, and the moment that they appealed it, you knew, no, it's going to be trimmed back, and sure enough, it was only a 2-year ban. And no, they're not actually banned. They could
Maybe
wear the
this
flags.
guy could actually just compete under a different flag or something.
Yeah, just do that.
At least wear.
Become Russian.
Yeah, wear. At least, wear what you're meant to wear when you are competing with it. All right, finally then, Super Rugby's 4 days away. Are you excited?
No, not at all. The first game's going to be good because it's Chiefs Crusaders. I've always held an interest of sorts in Super Rugby. I loved it when I was a kid, like pretty much everyone in this country who liked their sport, and then lost interest. But I still, would watch games. I have no interest.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry. I don't care. I just do not care. This competition is not marketed or not marketed well. There's no access to the players or the coaches from a media and a fan's perspective. Like that season launched last week. That should have been open to the public. It should have been on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, good
and
call.
you involve all of,
good call,
you go to schools, go to clubs, invite kids and their families and get them involved. It shouldn't be a closed door, caviar, champagne sort of event that only the media go to. That's not right. How are you fan-centric by doing that? You're not. So there's no link to the fans whatsoever. I mean, look, personally, it's really hard to get a lot of these guys for interviews. It's really closed off, which makes me less interested in it. And also, the game of rugby itself is struggling because there's so many confusing rules. It's hard to follow. Something changes here and there. There's issues with, we talked about head-high tackles and lawsuits before. There's that bubbling away in the background. And there's no crowds. And the games aren't exactly fun to attend anyway.
The Breakers punched the ticket on Friday. Good home win against the Brisbane Bullets. But like it has been all season, injuries. Again, McDowell White out with his shoulder now. No Anthony Lamb, he is gone for the season. And a really disappointing finish last night in Adelaide. Could have been a 4th spot end up 6th and have to go away to the Sydney Kings. Liam Santamaria is one of the ANBL experts out of Australia. You see him all over the TV. He's also general manager of the Future Stars program. Talking Breakers. It feels a bit flat after that loss to the 36ers, finishing 6th instead of 4th.
Yeah, it does. They're in, though, and that's the important thing. They're in the postseason. They get to extend their campaign. But 4th place finish would have been terrific. Would have given them a double chance, a chance to win one and go straight into a semi-final appearance. And now, not only do they not have that, they've got to go on the road and play against the 2-time defending champs. And then you couple all of that, Martin, with the injury to Will McDowell-White yesterday. And, I think it's a bittersweet feeling for the Breakers right now.
It must be. It kind of summed up the whole season for me, though. Just when you think they're getting it back, getting it right, and then comes another foot trip.
Yep, I agree. They've had some adversity. Tom Abercrombie spoke about it really well in the post-game press conference yesterday, saying injuries are a part of sport. But it's been a doozy of a season for us in that regard. They had the season-ending injury to Justinian Jessup early in the year. Now, of course, they were able to bounce back from that with the signing of Anthony Lamb. But then, of course, he goes down with the ruptured Achilles tendon late in the year, and then now a second dislocated shoulder for Will McDowell-White. And the expectation, we're waiting confirmation from the Breakers, the expectation is that that's his season done. So, man, they are well and truly up against it from here.
Breakers and the Kings, will they finish 5th and 6th respectively? That's the Kings and 5th, Breakers in 6th. Last year's 2 finalists. So is anyone going to be wanting to play whoever wins that in terms of the playoffs? Let's just put Melbourne and the Wildcats aside. I'm talking about the Jack Jumpers and Hawks.
Well, so the loser of the Jack Jumpers and the Hawks will host the winner of Sydney and New Zealand. And to be honest, I don't think either of those are really the kind of scary proposition that, you can sometimes find in that situation, because the Kings, they're so hot and cold that, if they're not really on top of things, we've found that you can quickly kind of, deflate that team and put them away. So Tassie and Illawarra have both had good success against Sydney, and this New Zealand team, I thought they could soldier on here without Anthony Lamb, but without Will McDowell-White as well, that makes it very, very tough. And Illawarra and Tasmania have both been playing at a very high level. So I don't give either of those two teams, the Kings or the Breakers, a lot of hope from here to make a significant playoff run.
Liam Santamaria with us. We're discussing the ANBL, and the regulation season wrapped up last night. We've got a week off and the playoffs start next Wednesday. Out of 10 teams, only 3 of them have a record over 500. The Hawks split at 14 and 14. Between 5th and 9th, you've got 13 wins, 13 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins. Is it a worry for the league that only 3 teams out of the 10 had a winning record?
No. In fact, I think it's a great advantage of our league. It's a real positive. Now, why has that happened? Well, because of the extreme parity that exists across the middle section of the league. We've had one team up the top, Melbourne United, who have been pretty dominant, never lost 2 games in a row this season, and ended up with over 20 wins. But you don't have a team at the bottom this year that's just been gifting victories to that middle class. You don't have a team like Illawarra, who only won 3 games last year, or a team, like that, just losing a whole bunch. So we've got a team at the bottom with double-digit wins at the end of the year. So it shows the fact that nobody's been wallowing at the bottom, and there's been extreme parity across the middle section of the league. And, as a result, regardless, winning record, losing record, 500 record, we've got the best 6 teams remaining, and they're going to duke it out.
LBP, let's be positive. Matt Gunn with us every Monday, as always. Plenty of sport to talk about. Breakers making the playoffs. The next top of the table. India thrashing England in the cricket, and goodbye Bazball. What a pathetic batting effort from the Poms that was. But most importantly of all, as we approach the beginning of the NRL season, so much hope and expectation in the air. 20 years since his beloved Bulldogs last won a championship. and they beat Melbourne in pre-season. Don't get more positive than that. Our doggies dicking the Melbourne Storm. I'm going top 4. I'm not even going top 8 now. I'm being positive. I'm saying top 4 on that performance.
Mate, the doggies flying high after the opening performance in the pre-season competition. And Martin, I've got to say, looking very expansive with the Dogs. Good up front, very expansive, look to the wings, scored out wide. We are looking top 8 just like we were at this stage last year.
See,
the only difference is that this year is the year.
Oh,
yeah,
last year
it was a glimmer, but it wasn't to be. This year, I believe, it's to be. It's to be this year.
Well, I'm gleaning enough positives out of the performance of the Wars against the West Tigers, especially in attracting a sellout crowd for a start and playing a reserve side that came within 2 points against a virtual full-strength West Tigers side. So I'm looking positively at that as well, and I'm saying top 8 at least, if not top 4 on the basis of that.
Well, yeah, let's not forget too, they played, 60 minutes a man down the Warriors.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So RTS looked comfortable.
Yep.
In the outside centre position, I think that might work. Well, I mean, they didn't win, and great news for Benji over there in Balmain. But at the end of the day, Martin, I'm going to say definitely top 8 again, the Warriors. They have to be better than last year. Looked pretty good on the weekend, even though they lost, but sat down most of the side for the second half, and it was rookies left, right and centre. So, yeah, but the doggies, mate, just keep an eye on those doggies. All right, the Warriors, yes, but let's just keep an eye on those doggies.
Bears ball looks great until... produce a performance like that against India, where you get bowled for 100, chasing 500 or something, and you were 224 for 2, chasing 400 odd in the first innings, and you just start thrashing and playing across the line and playing dickhead shots in there. And it does look at that. It's either one or the other, isn't it? It either wins and you feel fantastic, or you look like the worst Test cricket side that England's ever picked.
Yeah, well, hammered is the word I would use. 434-run loss and 122 in the second innings. If you listen to Ben Stokes, though, we've got to have a look at the DRS.
Oh.
Because Zach Crawley's dismissal, he believes should have been out. Forget about 434 runs behind at the end of the test.
Yeah.
Ben, like, we've got to look at this DRS. Yeah, Martin, it is spectacular cricket, but, once one starts to fall or people don't have the confidence, that game doesn't work. And what else that game doesn't do is doesn't allow teams to guts it out once it starts to go wrong, because they're so used to just swinging the bat. So if you don't get it right, you are a fool.
Let's be positive about the Breakers, and I'm struggling here, mate, because after Friday night, punched the ticket to the finals, and I was doing all the calculations. I said, hang on a second, going to finish 4th here, away to Adelaide. Well, that's a gimme. I mean, they're second at the bottom of the table. They're going to win that one. That's 4th. That's 2 bites at the cherry. Then to turn around, but I suppose it's reflective of the whole season, isn't it? Just when you think the Breakers are back on track, okay. And now away Sydney in a must-win one-off match next week. I kind of feel there's a bit of a sour taste to it at the end there.
It wasn't that long ago I said they were absolutely no chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, you did.
And, well, that's, I thought they were no-go. And then putting themselves in a position to be there, disappointing again over the weekend, and comes down to a coin toss. I think the season has probably turned out better than I expected, to be honest, but reflective of the whole year. Haven't been consistent, haven't really had the same, I suppose, switched onness between the squad consistently over the year. And they'll be lucky to beat Sydney.
Yeah, a lot of injuries as well haven't helped, mate. And now you got McDowell White out again. So yeah, I mean, but that's sport, it's sport, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it goes, isn't it? And that's why to start a season's important. They were halfway through the season, looked nowhere, came back, but it's just been too much of a struggle. So, no real surprises there. The real surprise to me is that they were in a position to be in the top 4.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.